What is going on, garden fans? Welcome back to the Permaculture Homestead. In today's episode, I'm going to give you the full food forest tour walkabout. It has been quite a while since I put an update up. There's been a lot of things going on in my life personally. I just totaled my truck, and just a lot of life has gotten in the way the last couple weeks. But that shouldn't matter. This food forest is still going to be productive with or without me. That's the way I set it up. I wanted to plant once and harvest for a lifetime, and that's kind of what I've been doing. So we're coming into fall right now. The winds are starting to change, the temperature is starting to come down, and summer has basically done its damage. Drought and heat have kind of cooked the leaves off of my goji berry, but even with inconsistent watering, they are still lush and producing full, like I said they would in March, and they're going to continue to produce for us right up until we get our first frost. Now, once again, I don't do any weeding back here. The major weed right now that I'm managing is lamb's quarters, and I do manage this weed. This is an edible herb that I eat, so I keep them at a desired height. I kind of let them grow up with my perennials, and I've got multiple food sources in one small area. Once again, we haven't done any maintenance here in the past month. Some remnants of spring veggie gardens, like the basil, are still kicking around. We still got collards hanging out too all over the landscape. But as I said, summer bug damage and heat damage is kind of ravaging up a bit. It shouldn't affect the perennial elements. Once again, that's a pineapple guava. Right behind it is muscadine vines. I've got an apricot tree right here, sweet gem apricot. Now at the beginning of March, this tree was only 6 feet tall, and it's towering over me now at about 12, 15 feet. And once again, zero maintenance whatsoever. My elderberry hedge is going to need to get trimmed down here. I'm at the point in the year where once we get our first frost, it's time to do some scheduled disturbances. The ever-bearing strawberry patch is putting on its fall flush of strawberries. Once again, zero maintenance. I have not come out here and done anything basically until today. And today on my docket, I'm going to be doing some sweet potatoes. I have rooted out some sweet potatoes. It only took a week for these vines to throw some roots out. I'm going to be sticking these in some pots, and I'm guessing by the time Thanksgiving rolls around, I'll have sweet potato for dinner. Now, my chickens have been out here a lot more often as the food forest develops, and I'm starting to form this canopy where they feel safe. And as things get stronger, I feel more comfortable letting them out here to kind of tend to the food forest. So the forest floor has been getting a really good cleaning from them. As you can see, there were lots of weeds here through the spring. I grew a lot of vegetables on the forest floor here. I've rabbit tractored my rabbit through here the past couple weeks. And what I got happening right now is fertility. And I don't have to do anything. The chickens are coming through here, they're scratching things up, they're manuring, the rain does come. It's basically composting on site. This is a sand pit. I live on a sand pit, so to have really thick, rich black topsoil starting to form is actually pretty encouraging. Now this is all possible because I have this lush overstory starting to form now in this suburban backyard. And it's layers. I've got layers of things growing on. Elderberry, hedge right here. Pawpaws, both. My two first pawpaws I planted here are both over 10 feet tall. I'm expecting these pawpaws to actually fruit for me next year. They've been flowering the past 2 or 3 years. I just have not gotten any of the cross-pollination necessary. But now that I have 2 different varieties of pawpaws that are both 10 feet tall, I think they're going to be doing pretty good here next year, and they'll be getting to the fruiting for me. I've sized down my peach trees. At one point in time, these peach trees were over 20 feet tall. I'm keeping on top of the summer pruning to kind of keep them more like a dwarf peach tree variety. Peaches don't do that well in Zone 8, South Carolina. I'm trying to tone them down and let the pawpaws grow up. There are a lot of pawpaws here, garden fans, and most of these are runners. I will be pulling up a few of these pawpaw runners and selling them come spring. Another positive is the black mission fig I've got here. Since I've cut down these peach trees, these mission figs have gotten a lot more sun, and it has certainly blown up to a good 10-foot tall fig tree now. Once again, not too far from the nearby peach tree. These are only 6 feet apart. The understory are blackberries, and all the next year's blackberry canes are starting to come up. Now that the chickens have cleaned out all the old canes and all the weeds, I need to do my part of stool layering, tip layering all my blackberries so that we can get a whole bunch of them. And if I'm just going to peek up into this canopy here to kind of show you, it's so dense, but there's still plenty of airflow. There's no mold, no mildew issues. So, not too far from that fig tree, we've got some nitrogen fixation in the form of autumn olive. Once again, I need to do a scheduled disturbance here and kind of trim this guy down some. These are going to be very small, 5-foot shrubs that don't ever get bigger than that. It is providing nitrogen for a black mulberry. Black mulberry produced for us a bit in the spring. I have another black mulberry here that should produce again for us. So two mulberries, both black mulberries. I should get some fall fruit off of this local variety. There are more autumn olives all over the place, and they are now providing nitrogen fixation for a lot of plants back here, including blueberries and more elderberry and moringa. Here's another subtropical one I got growing, Moringa. I've been growing this Moringa here in Zone 8. This is now the 3rd year it has come back. It has overwintered. And can I get down to the mama plant? I cannot. So what I've done to get this to overwinter is, once we get our first frost, or when I know our first frost is coming, I will chop down the Moringa and then mulch heavily over it. Once the temperatures start to get hot again, the Moringa comes back. It's been somewhat perennial for me. Now what'll never happen here is I'll never get flowers off of this Moringa tree. I grow it for the greens only, and it'll come back for me next summer. Bay tree is still alive. The Towerton Bay bush is still kicking it. There is another peach tree in here that needs to be pruned down. I have 3 peach trees on site, and all 3 of them are going to get pruned down to a more manageable height. Once again, this one is about 20-25 feet tall. Way too big, taking up too much space in the landscape. I'm going to be chopping that down. It still has its friendly companions of garlic chives. The chickens do a really good job cleaning things out and leaving other things. They don't tear up my collards, but they'll certainly eat up all the weeds underneath them. Another pineapple guava here in the landscape that needs some light. And once again, once I get this peach tree cut down next to it, just like all the other trees, those pineapple guavas should start to blow out a bit. This is a very resilient food forest, garden fans. I have not come back here in the past couple weeks. That has been my goal with this whole thing from the very beginning. A low maintenance approach to gardening, and there's still an abundance of food back here. You saw some raspberries, you saw some goji berries. There are going to be plenty of muscadine grapes coming on here in the next month or so. Believe it or not, I do eat the passion fruit that's growing around here. I've got a video on that coming out shortly. I'm doing an exclusive video just on the passion fruit, the passion flower, and the Gulf fritillary butterfly that lives on the plant. Some food that's coming in. Sumac. This is wing sumac. This is the flower head. This will turn into a big drupe, and you can make lemonade with those heads off of the sumac. The sumac is a companion plant for a jujube. Let me get through this canopy once again, show you this jujube here. This is a Lee jujube, and all the sumac around it are just kind of protecting it. This Jujube has more than one fruit on it. Last time I saw y'all, it only had one, and I've spotted a couple more. So here is a Jujube in the middle of a sumac and lamb's quarters patch. And once again, I eat the lamb's quarters. These are a little tall for my liking. Another pawpaw. Other things growing back here, garden fans, pomegranate. Pomegranate's looking good. It's growing on a hugel mound. The tree itself is putting on height and girth. It's got plenty of nitrogen fixation in the form of autumn olive. And in the farthest corner here, I've got 2 plum trees in the back. There is elderberry and Mexican beautyberry that's starting to turn color. These are a little different than the Americana color carpus. And muscadines. This is probably already too long for an update, garden fans. I want to thank you all for coming by, checking it out. Really just wanted to do a walkabout because it's been so long, and that's what I do. We go walking and we go talking. The food forest looks good, and there's a lot more to come. If you got any questions about permaculture, gardening, or what's going on here, just ask. We appreciate your all support as always. Keep in touch. Please like, share, and subscribe. God bless.